AA, one of the coolest things about AA is that people do service work here. And I'm taking care of the speakers for this month, and someone jumped in and said, "Hey, you know what? I got a speaker. You need a speaker?" And I thought, "Yeah, dope. That's really cool. People stepping up." So we have a friend of a friend tonight who is also really involved and open to speak tonight. So I'm going to pass it over to Topher.
Hey, good evening, everybody, wherever you are. My name is Topher. I'm a grateful, recovering capital A alcoholic, and I'm grateful in many, many, many ways and for many, many, many things, one of them being here. Happy to say that this is my first time to this meeting, and I'm happy to know that being here, I'm uh, joined by people from not only across the states, but from, you know, outside of the states, which is awesome. I always love coming into meetings where, you know, sharing, experience that knows no bounds, you know what I mean? Because it's a real thing that everybody deals with, knowing I'm not alone, and neither are you. Um, my sobriety date is August 3rd, 2020. So I'm coming up on a year. I didn't type in my 10-month thing, but that just passed on the 3rd. So I'm excited to say that, like the gentleman earlier, that I also am counting days because it is day by day, that is for sure, one day at a time. Um, I, let's see, where do I begin? Uh, I suppose I want to sort of share, like, some things that I've been going through over the past and what's been great about me uh, in recovery and how I've been able to deal with things that have been, life on life's terms. I past couple of weeks have been pretty crazy because I was served some divorce papers, and I knew they were coming, but just having things in hand and having someone knock on my door to serve me those things was something that came at me in a way that I was not expecting. Getting ready for work, knowing that they were going to be coming, did not know they were going to be coming so soon, but sort of ruined my day. But the one thing that I've learned and the tools that I've gained through Alcoholics Anonymous and uh, being able to stop and pause for a moment, uh, I was able to not react in a sideways fashion like I would have done in the past, which was good. And I'm grateful that I do have that ability these days to do that. I gladly signed those papers, so not too many tears were shed, but if anything, I started thinking about my daughter, because I know that she doesn't necessarily know that the papers have been signed, but she will soon. She's 14. Haven't seen her in a while. I'm in a sober living house. But addiction is a real thing to me because started when I was younger in high school, and it had nothing to do with any substance whatsoever. The addictive brain in me was addicted to attention that I was not getting in my household. I was a middle child, the older brother who obviously was the heir to the Rivera throne. And then there was me, who was told when I became an adult by my parents that they chose a girl's name because they were going the surprise route with me in the hopes that they were going to have a girl, but then out came this guy. And now I have a baby sister. So I have a baby sister and an older heir to the throne, and there's me in the middle. So I was neglected quite often, and so was searching for attention in all the ways that I could, whether it be trying to become the best sports star at every sport that I could to prove to my parents that I was worthy of whatever attention they could give me. And then it led itself into becoming an actor, craving that applause, craving that attention that, fulfilled me in ways that, just made me feel good. It's like the attention indeed in and of itself was the first needle that I put into my arm, filled me with a sense of being and a sense of, wow, people actually think that I'm something, as compared to a nothing. And Grew up in Oklahoma, born and raised in Oklahoma. Knew that I didn't want to live there for the rest of my life because it was awful. And moved to New York City to become an actor, go to school. And it wasn't until, I got to school and started hanging with new people, new city, new culture. That's when, the drinking came to be. And, it was, as all, as all addictions do, they're progressive. So it was fun at college, blah, 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 drinking with the people on the weekends, turning into, more than just the weekends, turning into every single day, every single morning, you know what I mean? And as I became, after I got out of school, moved out of the dorms, started living with what I now know was an alcoholic at the time. Also, name was Christopher, oddly enough. And he is a really cool cat who I love dearly to this day, who's also in the program, which I'm happy about. So, uh, but it wasn't until I got a job in upstate New York when I was introduced to hard alcohol. And I was doing a show in upstate New York with a really cool cat, but I know his name was Simeon. It's a British cat. And every single night after the shows, we would, we'd go to the bar, have drinks to let the load off of what the show brought to us emotionally. And everybody was having beers at the bar, and I saw him over in the corner watching a football game. He was drinking some Jameson all by himself, and I went over and I was like, "Yo, Simeon, what's the deal? Would you come have a beer with us?" He was like, "I don't drink beer anymore, man." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "It fills me up too much. Because I got to drink far too many beers for me to even feel what I feel from this one glass." He's like, I was like, that makes sense. I really am getting a beer belly now. That makes total sense. So next day after the show, went over to him. I was like, "I want some of that. Can I have some, please?" He ordered me one. And then from there, it was game over. I saw what he was saying, immediately felt the effects of what it was doing for me and how it was making me feel as compared to how much I needed to consume just through some lame beers. And, you know, that, like the beers, became a weekend thing at first because I realized it was too much. It was keeping me from doing my job. But again, it progressed and progressed and progressed. And, been drinking for 20 years now straight, which led itself to a rabbit hole that I could not get myself out of. Luckily, I had a now ex-wife who uh, loved me in a way that dragged me to a place called Cry Help, which turned my life around, which I did not want it to do, but it did. Introduced me to what are the steps I'm still working through. And knowing that one thing that I learned in Cry Help, and I continue to repeat it to myself on a daily basis, is uh, having to practice, be an active participant in what is my sobriety and my recovery, which is why I was happy when, Maddie asked me if I could come and speak, because I've been working full time and I haven't been able to hit up as many meetings as I know that I could be or should be. So when I was asked to come and speak, I was like, yeah, I think I need to. Whether I do sort of share something that is a gold nugget to someone, it's not, it wasn't really stressing me out. Wasn't really contemplating what do I need to say, but more I needed to share something. I needed to get some things off of my chest. I haven't talked about the divorce to many people, but I knew I needed to sort of release it from whatever. I needed to actively participate. Because if I'm going to, if I'm going to get anything really out of what is my sobriety, I have to participate in it. I have to be actively moving and checking myself on a daily basis as to, what am I doing to change my thought patterns? What am I doing to actively, you know, uh, make sure that I'm not going to fall into that rabbit hole that I know is far too easy to do. Have to personally participate in patting myself on the back every once in a while, compared to, what I could have done when I did get those divorce papers, and immediately looking inward at myself and calling myself a fuck face for how awful I was that led itself to this divorce, and looking at it as something that I need to use as uh, something to participate in, it being able to use it as something that I can face immediately, because papers are literally in my face, and face it and look at it and write it off, because it's not something that I know uh, uh, right now. It's not something that can be, nor will it be something that makes me fall out sideways. And I, because if you, it, participation sort of, for me, includes all things. You know what I mean? I have a job where I'm asking people to try something, and it's difficult because I'm in such a space where I have the ability, I'm willing to try anything, especially when it comes to something like this. I'm willing to try speaking at more, sharing more. I'm willing to try it because I know that if I do, just actively participating, it will give me something. But witnessing people who have confronted with walls and unable to try something that is different or new, keeps them from progressing to something that could be beautiful. You know what I mean? I'm selling fruits and vegetables to people, organic ones at that, but I'm asking them to try something from a different source. And, people get stuck in patterns and in their ways of, I just purchase my things from here. I don't want to try that. I was like, well, then it's lending itself for you or for anyone to not receive the benefits of what could be coming to you, but just participating in something. If you don't participate in something, if you don't participate in a sport, you won't know the joys of what it means to win something. So you know, and so that is something that I am continually telling myself, that I have to participate in one way or another, whether it be uh, being of service like this. It is even being of service, doesn't necessarily matter, but I have to participate in some sort of service, some sort of, helping my fellow addicts who are out there, across state lines, across, country lines, wherever you may be. And I, I'm happy now that one of the groups that I do go to is more in person. So enjoying physical contact with people. I I'm short of not knowing where I'm going right now, um, and that's okay. There was a conversation that I had when I was in Cry Help with a gentleman, and I'm enjoying the fact that I don't know where I'm going, because I'm happier in recovery, taking that road of not knowing what will happen and not what could happen, as compared to walking down that other road that I was on, where I do know what can happen. There's a definite thing that will and can happen, and does happen if I were to fall out, go back and actively, participate in what was my addiction of the past. But going down this road of recovery and following the path of what I know is something that could bring me beautiful things, and has been, I'm happy in that unknown space, which is why I could be blabbering now, not knowing what I'm going to say, but it brings me happiness just to be in that space of unknown, because I do know that uh, what the road has brought me has been nothing but smiles and good quality relationships with people that uh, I don't always see all the time, but you know, there are people that are, you know, loving what it is that I'm doing. Specifically, my daughter, whom I've heard as of just recently, told my now ex-wife that she misses me dearly and wants to see me as long as I have my vaccines, and so does she. I've got mine, and as of just last week, my daughter insisted that my wife take me to go get hers because she wants to see me. She was like, if that's what I asked my dad to do because I want to see him, and that's the only way I'll do it, then I know I need to do it too. My wife was skeptical at first because she's 14, but that's what she said she wants to do. And that's what sobriety's bringing me. Actively, physically living my amends with this little girl that I unfortunately was neglecting in my own way because I was only thinking of myself in the past in my drinking. And she sees that I'm not doing that anymore, even though I'm not near her. Uh, she knows I'm living with a bunch of dudes, which I'm sure she thinks is hysterical, but that's okay. Uh, I don't know what time it is. I didn't see a little clicker at all. I've been rambling. I like, you know, I love not only speaking on occasion because it helps me, but I also love listening. So I really do not want to continue on because knowing that there are a lot of new faces that I have not seen and or heard from. Uh, I like hearing other people speak as well. So I will say that again. My name is Topher. I'm a grateful capital A alcoholic in recovery, and I look forward to another 24. And I thank you for sharing this 24 with me. Thank you for letting me share. I'll pass it on to whomever is raising their hand to see one.